Hey, Zalon, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Episode 4, Imperial Ramblings. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right, cool. So this is the one where we talk about Warhammer 40K lore, and I
Yeah.
gave you a homework assignment. Did you complete
hmm
your homework assignment?
Yeah, kinda.
Kinda.
I only say that because I hope that I picked ones that are not the same as you. So
Well, I knew I had. I knew there was going to be a couple that I knew you would pick, so I did not pick those.
okay.
All right. Hey, we got Wrecked Nomads here. BMT. Above and below. What's up, guys? Welcome. So they want to know what's Warhammer. Above and below wants to know what is Warhammer.
Oh
You
my
want to
gosh,
take a
that's
stab
a
at
big
that,
question.
Salon?
That's a big question. That's like walking out to the beach and being like, "What's the ocean?" You know, what's the ocean when you go to the beach? Well, it could be jet skiing, it could be fishing, it could be surfing, it could be, it could be swimming. There's a lot of things that you can do in the ocean, but so when you say what is Warhammer, it's very similar in that aspect. It's not one thing. It's not there's a lot to it.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, uh, Warhammer 40K is a tabletop war game where you move the little pieces around the board, and you fight each other, you roll dice. But this
But
episode, we're talking about
I don't want to
what?
do that. Well, there's actually other parts of it too that some people don't touch a single miniature whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just the whole backstory in the lore and what we really like. And so I have my favorite parts of the lore, which is different than what Zalon's favorite parts of the lore. Oh, by the way, I like your new icon, Zalon, with the
Oh yeah. It's
with
it's
the
it's to represent me and Bo because I'm the
right,
Blood Angel Space Marine, and he's
right.
the
I
he's the
like
Necron.
I like the Necrons. Yeah, the Necrons are
Yeah.
basically Evil Dead. Um, I don't know how do you call it. They are originally when the Necrons were introduced into Warhammer, they were based off of the Terminator movies.
Well, but they're
T1000.
also very Egyptian like. So
Yes, they were T1000 robots basically. Um, and then later on they got this Egyptian theme added on top of them. So they have dynasties and they have pharaohs, but they don't call them pharaohs; they call them pharaons because things like that. And it's actually it's pretty interesting and it's pretty deep. We're looking at let me pull up a picture here and we'll show you uh, kind of what we're talking about. Um, Zalon, while I'm looking for this thing,
I would
what's
say
your favorite?
a really easy answer to what is Warhammer as well is there's multiple like 50 to hour and a half long videos of people trying to tell you what where Warhammer is as quickly as they can. That's how it's not something that people can put into like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I've
Yeah,
attempted to
exactly.
do it with other real people in real life and try to explain what it is in a very shortened form, and it's impossible. It is literally impossible to say that amount of words in the amount of time that you're trying to do it in because there is so much to it. So, but besides from, and I'm referring to just the lore, because for instance, I'm a landscaper. While I'm working all day, majority of the time I have headphones on and I'm actually just listening to books. I'm able to function at work and understand a story that is being read to me. And it's absolutely amazing the amount of stories and the amount of lore that they have just in all the books, not including magazines, not including movies and stuff that we see on Warhammer Plus now. And there's a lot of other different places that they have other bits of lore that comes out. But the books are a very solid backing to a lot of the lore that comes out in the universe of Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, the audiobooks are awesome. I am actually more of a novel kind of guy. I like to actually read. the novels, and so I will typically read a book over listen to a book, except when I'm driving, and I definitely listen to podcasts and all kinds of stuff while I'm driving. So that's always fun. It's always, and the thing about it is there's literally, this has been decades in the making, right? Warhammer 40K is not a new thing by any stretch of the imagination. And what you see right up the screen right now, that's a Necron. So it's their Necrons are undead, skeleton Egyptian warrior dudes, super soldiers. Yeah. So the Necron race, and I'm going to talk about the Necrons for just a few minutes.
Just go ahead.
It's the Necrons. Necrons are one of the oldest races in the game. They are the oldest one that you can actually
just say in the universe.
In the universe. So they are actually the oldest one that you can play on the tabletop, because the Necrons predate the Eldari, the space elves,
which are the space elves. Yes, right, that's right.
Space elves.
This is space fantasy. So
yeah, exactly. So you've got the Necrons, and they weren't always metal robots. They were flesh and blood at one point in time, and way back when the Necrons lived on this planet, and it had a sun that irradiated them, and they basically lived like 20 years, and they died of super cancer, and they got so eventually they started colonizing, and they ran into this other group of folks called the Old Ones, which were the polar opposite of what the Necrons were. Lost Crusade is a Warhammer 40K property. Yes, I believe. Isn't that the mobile game?
Yeah, that's one of the mobile games. They have about if you search Warhammer in just mobile games, not computer games, not console games, but just mobile games, there is a few.
Yeah, and Lost Crusade is basically Raid Shadow Legends with a Warhammer skin. Yep. I played it for until I hit the paywall, and then I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I don't like it that much, so I uninstalled it. But so anyway, Necrons met the Old Ones, and they're like, hey, teach us all your cool tricks and give us eternal life. And they're like, no, we don't like you. And so then the Necrons got pissed and decided to have a war with the Old Ones, and they lost. And then they all went back home, and they're like, okay. And so they started fighting amongst themselves, and then they found that there's this being that lives in their sun, and it's eating their sun, and they're called the Catan. And so the Necrons built these basically like robot-shaped Pokeballs to put the Catan in, and so that the Catan could inhabit this metal robot thing, and they could actually talk to him. And the Catan was like, yeah, we fought a war against the Old Ones too. Those guys suck. And so then the Catan was like, hey, but I have an idea. We can join forces here and go beat up on the Old Ones. And so the Catan said that the way to do that is we have to build these giant furnaces, and we're going to throw all of you Necrontier guys into the furnace, and you'll come out the other side. Yeah, furnace.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, furnaces. And when you come out the other side, that's when they became the living metal skeleton undead robots, because the Catan was feeding off of basically their souls. And so now the Catan and the Necrons, at that point they became the Necrons. The leader of the Necrons is called the Silent King. Dude's badass. And
super badass.
Yeah, so they were like, we're gonna fight the Old Ones. So they go and they have this giant war with the Old Ones, and they lose again. So it's like, well, crap. And then at some point, the Necrons decide that they're going to fight against the Catan, and they defeat the Catan, and they shatter them into shards. And that's what we have in the game today, is you can have shards, Catan shards, and one of them is the Void Dragon, and the other one is hey Chris, what's up, man? Good to see you.
What's up, Chris?
you've got different shards that you can play. And so after after all of that, the Silent King was upset that he had taken his people and decided that in this quest for immortality to escape their rotting super cancer infested bodies, that now they're undead living robots. So they built these giant tomb worlds all over the galaxy, and then they decided to go to sleep for 60 million years. So now at this point in time in the Warhammer lore universe, the Necrons have woken up. They didn't all wake up, but they've started to wake up, and the Silent King is back. And now that's how you get to play them in the tabletop game today, when their lore started 60 million years ago. So that's where we are on that. Zalon,
what's up?
If I had to guess, I would say your favorite part of the lore might be what? Ultramarines?
Well, they're one of my favorite factions. Yeah, but that's because they seem to have some of the most lore, or at least they're involved with a majority of the main events that happen in the universe, which is cool.
That's definitely true.
They're not. So for the majority of times, I mean, when you look at how many loyalist factions of Space Marines there are, how many of the Chaos factions of Space Marines that are still around. Majority of times when something's going on, you'll see either some Ultra Marine or other successor chapter from the Ultramarines is involved. Majority of times. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, so outside of the Ultramarines, I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, well, good thing about the lore is something that it's something that you can pick and choose more or less, which is great because, in my opinion, there's a lot of different sections when it comes down to the timeline that you can kind of delve into, and I prefer to not exactly go chronologically. Some people might be like, "Well, I want to just start from the beginning, watch it all the way through." I'm very conditioned from Netflix and other streaming services to watch it all the way from the beginning, Mm-hmm. But I truly believe you can really kind of jump in and out of different timelines and still be able to understand everything. Kind of take it as like puzzle pieces, more or less. And you can kind of construct everything eventually because there's a lot to it. It's not your normal TV show or, normal universe that you can kind of jump into and be like, okay, I understand it in a few days. I understand everything from front to back. It's not. So it's a puzzle piece situation where that's why there's certain shows on Warhammer Plus, like Hammer and Bolter, which each episode is different and comes from all different timelines in the actual universe, which is great. So that's why I can kind of consume the lore in that fashion. So
yeah, so in the picture there, the blue power armor guys, those are Space Marines, specifically Ultramarines, which is a chapter, and there are multiple chapters. There are at least 100 chapters of Space Marines that we know of, and probably more that we don't.
But they also, besides from the actual lore and part of the actual what Games Workshop has set up, they also made it so more or less you can just create your own paint scheme and create your own chapter, create your own story behind it, which is very smart from an actual business side, because who doesn't want to create their own chapter and go with a completely customized paint scheme? So it's actually a smart move to put that into the lore as like, oh yeah, we created a whole bunch of chapters, we don't even know how many there really is, so giving it so that all the players, your chapter being included in your universe of 40K isn't that far-fetched,
Yeah, that's true. So Sephiroth says, that guy Zalon sounds like a J.J. Abrams fan. Let's get him.
Nice.
Arturo, welcome. Is this a game? Yes, this is a game. This is a, but it's, well, there are at least, what, 15 or so video games, right? Console games, PC games, there's
Yep.
mobile games. What we're talking about is the universe as a whole when it comes to Warhammer 40,000. And there's literally hundreds of novels written. I mean, the
Yes.
Horus Heresy,
Novels,
the
comic
Horus,
book.
right?
Yeah.
Comic books. There's been fan made films. Which one of the things coming up on the channel is we're going to do a watch along of a couple of fan made animations. One of them is Astartes, and the other one is Hell's Reach. And
Now we're gonna have a guest. We're gonna have guests.
and we will have a surprise guest with us that doesn't know anything much about Warhammer, so it's kind of like the first time they will have been experiencing it. So that's not going to be live. That's going to be a pre-recorded video. So, but we'll watch along with you guys in the chat when we do that. So there are now currently Games Workshop made a animation series, a streaming service. That's what I'm trying to say. Words, streaming service, and on that streaming service, it's called Warhammer Plus. There are animations, and there's a lore channel, there's a painting channel, there's all kinds of stuff on there. But the current animations that we have been able to see are one called Angels of Death, which focuses on the Blood Angels chapter of the Space Marines, and there's been like 5 episodes of that. They've been about 15 minutes long each. And then there's an anthology series called Hammer and Bolter, which I enjoy anthology series, like Black Mirror on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Which is just a collection of stories that aren't they sort of kind of are related, but you don't have to watch them in order, and that type of thing. So there is that, and so there are people that are way into Warhammer that never play tabletop. They don't play any of the video games. They literally just like to read the books and listen to the audiobooks, and they enjoy the lore aspect of it, which is cool. Because like I said, there's been 40 years of this stuff been in development at this point, right?
Oh yeah.
So those guys on screen there that I was just showing are the Adeptus Mechanicus, and
they have a very much that's the thing. There's many factions in this that you'll find some representation of your own personality in a faction. So if you look at the Adeptus Mechanicus and how tech savvy that they are, Bo's background and his job allows him to really get a hold of understanding of, oh yeah, that'll probably be me in the far future.
So funny you mentioned that. I changed my signature on my corporate email, and it says my real name, and instead of my title, it says itinerant tech priest.
Very cool.
And tech priest is what they call basically the engineers in here for the AdMech. So I changed it to itinerant tech priest because I travel. And so I thought, no, I've had one person mention, what is an itinerant tech priest? And the other people just don't read the emails. That's probably what it is. Nobody reads my emails, or they don't care. And so this is an Ultramarine, and that thing in his hand is called a bolter. And then you see his fist just go in there because he has a power fist as well. So the guns in Warhammer are just super ridiculous. The bolter, the standard bolter, it runs basically it shoots 40 millimeter rocket propelled grenades. And that's the standard round. Right now, that's the smallest pistol that they have. It shoots a 40 millimeter rocket propelled, explosive tipped rocket grenade thing, and then it just scales up from there, and it's ridiculous. And it's so ridiculous that it works because everybody's ridiculous. The Necrons, they have this ability to regenerate. And so when they die on the battlefield, they teleport back to their tomb world where they get repaired and then come back to the battle. So it's just like, okay, well, I mean, you know, if you're going to be that way, and then we haven't even talked about Exterminatus or any of that other crazy crap that's going on.
And there's all sorts of different other factions as well.
Yeah.
And everything is bad. In all honesty,
bad.
there's no good guys and bad guys in this whole scheme of things. Which majority of times when you're trying to grasp some sort of universe, you try to balance, you try to stabilize yourself by saying, okay, these are the main characters, and these guys are good, these guys are bad. Maybe some people in the gray area in the middle, but you're like, all right, well, where do I fall? Do I really like this? Do I really like that? Everybody's bad in Warhammer. You get to just pick who do you like based on really your own preferences. So there you go.
Yeah, and I guess if you had to choose a good guy, supposedly, you know, the humans are always the good guys. Well, not always. There are, you know, some aspects of the empire of man, or, you know, that are just horrible, like the fact that, you know, Space Marines don't care anything about actual humans, except for very few chapters. They see them as, you know, collateral damage, and it doesn't matter how many malicious soldiers get killed as long as we kill the Xenos. Hello, Christian, welcome. And so I got some sisters on the screen right now, Zalon. I know that's one of your favorites.
Yeah, the sisters are badass. They're one of the newer factions that have been added to the universe recently, but they've been written in stories for a while. People knew about them. It's just they've just recently been added to the tabletop very heavily in the game aspect. So
yes. So basically, sisters are an all-female warrior nun chapter. They're not Space Marines, but they do wear power armor, and they have, you know, crazy huge weapons. Yeah, they're religious zealots. Yep.
Which is again, Imperium of Man in general, they're very zealous. It's believe what we believe, or else, you know, we're not going to like you.
Chris, above and below says, Christian, do you have a translation book for what they're talking about? All right, so here we go. So, all right, so our top 10 was top 10 places that we like to go to consume Warhammer lore type of thing. Mm-hmm. Did you, Zalon, tell me what yours is, and I will pull it up, and then maybe these guys can go check it out and have a listen, because I mean, we would literally be here till next week if we tried to just talk about, you know, everything about the Warhammer 40K universe. It's ridiculous.
It's everything. So, I'd be like, listen, I'm still consuming myself. Like,
yeah. So, what do you want to start with, Zalon? Give me your number 10.
All right, I'm going to go with the obvious one. Ready?
5. Yep.
All right, it's gonna be Luton 09.
Luton 09. I knew that.
Yeah,
I knew that. All right, tell us about Luton, and I'll get Luton up on the screen here.
Luton is the #1 lore channel out there. I don't think there's anybody with more subs and more active viewers than Luton.
Luton does these.
Very informative.
Yes, sometimes 2-hour long, basically podcast of just him talking about Warhammer, and they are that's what I do. That's what I listen to. There's Luton. Let me get Luton up here for us. So this is Luton, and as you can see, Luton has just tons of videos, and these are long form videos, right? 1:17. Most of them are around an hour. Some of them he breaks up into parts because there's too much to go into in an hour or an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, but he's got a 500,000 subscribers. So I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, for somebody that puts out lore videos, he's up there.
Yes. Yeah. So Luton is definitely
British.
one of
Yeah.
my and so that's the other thing is a lot of these guys that do these lore videos have a British accent, or well, there's one Australian, couple of Australian people, but there honestly aren't many. I don't think there's anybody that sounds like me. Obviously, nobody sounds like
Obviously, no. Well,
But-
well, he doesn't do lore, but over on Dice Check, we do have a similar lost brother over there of Boganora, but yeah.
Yep. Wrecking Nomad wants to know, so sisters are basically space nuns on steroids?
Yes, this is true.
Basically,
Yep.
yeah. The Sephiroth wants to know if we're looking forward to the new Dune. I am. I can't wait for Dune. I want to see it.
I saw the preview not too long ago. I thought it was looks very interesting.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I've been a huge Dune fan forever. So yes, I guess more Dune. We need more Dune. All right. So I had all of these guys in a window ready to go, and then my computer lost the window. So let me see if I can find mine. My next one. And go ahead and give us yours, because there's aren't any particular order, guys.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. My next one is going to be Major Kill, who's on Luton's hind tail when it comes down to the subscriber count, because it's really good. But I watch Major Kill on a pretty regular basis as well. Some people may not like his style, but he packs a very good amount of lore into each one of his videos and covers topics that a lot of others don't. And when it comes down to it, that's what all matters to me, is covering stuff that, I am interested in finding out about. So
yeah, Major Kill is almost, I mean, it's not quite not safe for work, but it's borderline at times. And he does shorter videos, some funny videos. He does reviews. He does a lot of what I want to call, they're not reaction videos, but it's like, what do I think about this thing that they added to my game? So that may be more your guys' style as opposed to Mr. Luton. Luton is very straight up. But I want to say it's he doesn't stray far from he doesn't stray far from just listening to someone read a story, basically.
Yeah, Major Kills are his own. He puts information together and then puts his own different twist in between everything, so it makes it a bit more entertaining instead of just reading off a sheet of paper. So I mean, like I said, again, the lore, what he talks about, and all the sources that he pulls all of his stuff from, is legit. He's not just making stuff up as he goes along. So, and it is on topics of stuff that people from the 40K universe want to know about.
Yeah, definitely. All right, who's next, Alon?
I got 40K theories.
I had 40K theories as well.
Yeah, I knew we were gonna run in bump heads.
Yeah, and that's we're not trying to compete with each other on this thing, but it's just it is what it is. 40K theories is good. The
also
about,
British.
Yeah, also British.
Major Kill was Australian. Just so
Major. Yeah, right. And Luton is British as well. So, and as you can see, we've got some cool videos here. Homebrew of the Week, where he highlights a model that somebody has done. But he has a lot of lore videos as well as other things, right? He also does. Here's a good one: 40K lore for newcomers. the
Mhm.
timeline, the Imperium of Man, Chaos,
Yeah,
Renegade,
I just went through
Xenos.
that timeline this last weekend. Actually,
Yeah,
I just
so
I just have it on in the background when I'm doing other things, and I just listen in and out.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna pull my probably one of my favorite of all time. I don't know. Luton might be my favorite, just from a sheer content, uh, volume of content
Oh, see,
perspective.
I'm glad you picked them because they're not on my list, but I do enjoy their content.
Adeptus Ridiculous. They do a weekly, basically a weekly podcast where they pick a subject and they talk about it for an hour, hour and a half, and it's very entertaining. The guys are hilarious. They make inside jokes, and eventually you'll start to understand the inside jokes. And they're let me
Both. Yes, Ricky Nomad.
yes, and what did I miss that? Bose, whose screen is being shared? Yes.
It's
Sorry, I
both.
was on the other screen. I couldn't see it. Yes, yes, that's me. That's my screen being shared. Um, so it's Adeptus Ridiculous. Those guys are funny. Um, and I was highly suggest that you guys give them a listen. All right. Who you got next, Alon?
I got Baltimore because his voice
All
is
right.
really good. You just can't watch it if you're too sleepy, though.
Yeah,
Or listen.
Baltimore. No, Baltimore does not put me to sleep.
If I'm
Uh,
listening to Lore late, sometimes my what's it called? My YouTube feed will switch over to Baltimore, and I'll be like, "Oh no, I'm getting sleepy."
yeah, Baltimore is pretty freaking sweet. He writes his own
Lore,
stories. He
yeah,
writes his own lore, and he prefaces that.
he's
So
done
he'll
voice work.
and
He's
he has
done a
done
lot. He's
professional
done
voice
real
work
voice.
for
Yeah, yeah.
actual audiobooks. So
Oh yeah.
he's pretty cool. I do enjoy listening to him. I got to get caught up on the ticker. So um, let's see. We had Luton, Major Kill, 40K Theories, right?
Yeah.
And Adeptus Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Voldemort.
Yeah.
I can't spell it. I never can spell that.
I can't either. It's on the screen, Bo.
Baldermort. All right, who's next?
And then I gotta. Well, he makes it's not his main thing. That's the thing. This last one was just because I was like, well, but he does put out lore content, which is really good. Is Valrek. So
Oh yeah, Chapter Master.
yeah, those are my
That's
five.
I didn't pick him because I knew you would.
Yeah.
I knew you would. All right, let me get Valrak up here.
Yeah, I watch his live streams quite often because he streams every day.
Yeah.
And
So you get
the other one I watch all the time but doesn't do lore is Eons, but I can't have them on my list because they don't do lore.
yeah, right, exactly. So this is a chapter master Valrak. He does do lore, like his new one. And then he also does a lot of release reviews of like the new stuff that's coming out, and he does live streams every day. He's a British guy. He likes these yellow dudes, which are called Imperial Fists, and the Sons of Dorn, which the Black Templars are
They're
a
the
successor chapter.
defensive loyalist
Yeah,
chapter.
yeah, very, very defensive in their play style. The Black Templars are what's called a successor chapter, which is a which is a main chapter that is was founded after the main chapter was founded. So they get their gene seed from the same Primarch, which the leader of the chapters is called a Primarch. So most of them are dead or missing, except for What?
And the one thing that Bo left out, which we do want to make sure to people that don't know anything about Warhammer, and that is a gene seed is like your genetic makeup of of who you are. So basically, how that works is everybody's gene seed is a little bit different based off of a different Primarch, which again, that's a whole different live stream that we could talk about
Yeah,
later.
basically. I mean, I think. Well, I don't think we actually mentioned it, but the Space Marines are genetically engineered superhumans. They're like 8, 9 feet tall,
Yeah, they're
and
huge.
the Emperor of Mankind had like 20 quote unquote sons, genetically
Mhm.
engineered, and each of them had different traits, I guess, different personalities. And then from those 20 sons, there were 20 uh, chapters that were founded, or so.
Mhm.
There was a couple that were lost along the
Two,
way.
two,
And,
two that were lost
yeah.
that nobody
And
knows
so,
much about at all.
right. And so Rogaldorn was the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, which are these yellow guys. And then a chapter that I like a lot is a successor chapter to the Imperial Fist. That's the Black Templars, and
Yes.
they're black with a bone colored shoulder pads, and it has like a Maltese cross on them. They're
Yeah,
freaking sweet.
they use a lot of the actual Templar
Yes,
based in
and
the real world.
right.
They use a lot of Templar symbols in their on their armor and in their general makeup of their chapter. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're very religious zealots. They're hey Daniel.
Yeah,
They're
more religious than their
so
original
we
founding
didn't
chapter.
we
If you
didn't
look at it.
touch on this, but we
Yeah.
should probably say that the Emperor of Mankind is like 10,000 years old, but he's not really alive anymore. He kind of sort of is, but he's
Oh
sitting
yeah,
on.
in
Yeah,
the current timeline of what's going on right now, because that's the thing with Warhammer 40K, it's something that's evolving right now.
yeah. It's
It's not a
constantly
series of books
being.
that are over. It's not a TV show that has ended. It is something that is always evolving and constantly changing
Yeah,
all the time.
each basically each quarter, um, you get a new basically lore book, and they come in different forms, but there's new stuff being added to the lore all
Mhm.
the time, and
Oh yeah.
that makes it interesting.
it, it
Um,
it makes it a lot of fun to be in some to enjoy something that you know is not going to just be over next year. There
Christian
you go.
says so. If I'm new to Warhammer, these guys are the ones to watch. Yeah, this is a good place to start.
Yeah,
There's plenty more, obviously.
but the
Um,
ones we're mentioning are ones that have a very solid foundation already. You
yeah,
want to look at it like that?
yeah, and it's not just YouTube, obviously, but we started with YouTube because we're on YouTube.
Hmm.
But this is one that I do, Oculus Impera. I don't know if you don't know if you know about this one. Um,
I'm interested to hear all the ones that are not on my list.
yeah. So Oculus has lots of good videos that deal with subjects like the Primarchs. There's a whole playlist of just videos about the Primarchs. There's a whole
Which are
playlist.
very popular. Be real
Yeah.
honest with you. The Primarchs, when it comes down to lore in general, is by far one of the most searched and one of the most watched lore type
Yeah.
videos out there because everybody loves the Primarchs. Look at them as being like the 20 different 18 different major football teams out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's certain people that you like. There's certain teams that you hate and everybody has different preferences.
So this one, look at this. This is the Legions Astartes. That's Space Marine legions. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 29 videos, and it's just about Space Marine. So he's got the Lunar Wolves, the Sons of Horus. He's got Salamanders, the Night Lords, Imperial Fists, the Iron Warriors, the Raven Guard, all of
Oh
these
yeah.
different groups, they all basically have the same general structure, but everybody's a little bit different in how their armor's colored and what weapons they prefer to use and what tactics they prefer to use when they're go to battle, which translates over to the tabletop game, because then you can, if you like to be a real defensive chapter and do melee combats, you might want to be, Imperial Fist. If you want to be shooty, like you want to shoot, and maybe shoot from range, there are other chapters that might fit your playstyle better.
If you're a contractor in real life and you're like, I like constructing things, making things built right and nice and sturdy, you might like the Imperial Fists, defensive,
Yeah.
There's all sorts of different things that you may say, I really like this. I mean, I was born and raised Roman Catholic, not exactly practicing anymore. But when it comes down to the Sisters of Battle, as soon as I was like space nuns that are hardcore zealots,
no, dude. Warrior
I thought that was
nuns have
amazing.
been so the idea of a warrior nun or a warrior priest is, that's a big thing in fantasy, and sci-fi as well. So I like that. So here's another one that I like to listen to. His name is Arch. He used to be called
Arch. Yeah.
Yeah, so give Arch a listen. His videos deal with lore, but also they deal with things going on in the game right now. Like as far as like how Games Workshop, it was what stupid things has Game Workshop done as a company today. Let's talk about that. And so Arch is a good one. I enjoy Arch. Arturo says, who is the strongest warriors or kind? That's a good question, Arturo. Zalon, why don't you answer his question?
Strongest warriors or kind?
Yeah, or race, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I would have to say a lot of times it depends on the situation, to be honest, because it seems like there has been many a times where the Space Marines are the overpowered force, or it turns out that we're dealing with a situation where you're on the you're in a lore you're in a story where you're on the front lines and you're just starting to deal with something that's just started. For instance, there's the Tyranids, which are like a if you think of a bug type space race where there's just thousands of bugs, like a Starship Trooper situation, or a Aliens situation, if you want to look at popular
We haven't
movies.
even talked about Tyranids.
Yeah, well, that's what Tyranids, if you look at my icon there on the screen, the Tyranid is the dead guy at our feet where we're fist bumping there. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
But the Tyranids, look at it this way, they're, a lot of times they just show up in certain areas and it's like, all right, well, this world is occupied by this Space Marine chapter. There's only a few hundred of them, or maybe there's 1,000 of them there. The entire chapter is on this planet. Well, when a few 100,000 aliens, Tyranids show up and just wipe the planet out, it's like, well, who is the most overpowered? Well, of course, they're gonna get smoked. So, but there's been many a times where combined forces of Space Marines get together and wipe out the Tyranids. So there's a lot of back and forth. Who's got the more overpowered, and or who's got the more numbers? So that's the thing. There's two things you got to look at here. Some of the factions work with smaller amounts of units, but have incredibly awesome weaponry and technology to work with. And others use more of a horde mentality, whereas like the orcs, they may have some pretty sweet weapons too, but also they use a horde mentality and just flood the battlefield with thousands and thousands of warriors.
Yeah, it's just sheer numbers.
Yeah, same thing with the
Necrons are kind of like that too. I will say that in the 40K verse, the Necrons are probably the most technologically advanced of the races. All the alien races are called Xenos, Xenos, Xenos. So, but the Necrons are probably the most technologically advanced, and I would say that if all of the Necrons would wake up at the same time and work together, they would be the strongest race. The problem is that they're not all awake, and the ones that are awake are just fighting with each other half the time. So
I almost feel like I agree with that viewpoint. I also do believe if any of the factions would just get together, like all the Space Marines, if you get them together over everybody else being fractured, they'd be the strongest. If all the Orc warlords would get together and everybody else would stay as fractured as they are, they would be the strongest. There's a lot of inside of each different faction is another bunch of fractured factions inside of it, if you want to look at it that way.
Dungeon Delvers here, he says the best 40K lore is the original first edition Deathwing lore when it was an expansion for Space Hulk back in 1990. Wow. I like the Deathwing. I don't think I've ever actually read that particular piece, but I am somewhat familiar with the Deathwing lore, and a lot of that is drawn from things like that. Arturo wants to know, is there a series on Netflix or a movie? There is not a series on Netflix. There is a movie on YouTube called Ultramarine that was done several years ago. There is another movie that if you want to hang around here on the channel at some point, we're going to watch it together, called Hell's Reach, HELSREACH. That is about 2.5 hours long. It's an animation. And then there's several short animations out there. Astartes is one. Guardsman is another one. And
The Last Church.
The Last Church is a good one. There's all of, so as of right now, the official animations, the official shows have just started. And all right, so editorial side note here, Games Workshop is a horrible company when it comes to customer service and treating their fans the way fans should be treated. That being said, they do have a streaming service that's called Warhammer Plus, and it costs you like $5 a month, and you get, so far, at least once a week, except with the exception of 1 week, we have gotten at least one episode of a new animation. And they are how many animated series did they have planned totals, Alon?
I think it's like a dozen.
Yeah, there's like a dozen different series. We've had 5 episodes of Angels of Death, which focuses on the Blood Angels chapter, which is actually, that one is being done by the guy that animated Hell's Reach. That you can still go watch Hell's Reach on YouTube. So, and it's been very good. And then Hammer and Bolter, like I said, is the anthology series, and then next one, they have one called Pariah Nexus coming out.
Pariah Nexus, so there's going to be a story with Necrons. Oh yeah,
which is Necrons, and I think we're going to get a little bit. I think we're going to get a couple of Age of Sigmar series in there as well, which is more fantasy, right?
Yeah, which is a different section of Warhammer completely.
Yeah.
Trent Hoff.
Yeah, grew up on Space Hulk. Nice. Delbert, firsty Deathwing is Lakota Sioux in Terminator armor. Nice. And Trent says he lost a box. We still have Hero Quest plus 2 expansion packs. Nice. Very nice. See? All right. So what I've got up on screen right now is the basically the 40K wiki, the lexiconum. And you can go through here and read about everything, and you can see all of the different iconography, the different games, the miniatures. If you're not a watch a video kind of guy and you want to read, you can read on here. There are a couple of other websites. Bell of Lost Souls is a pretty good website, and they do a lot of articles where they talk about new stuff coming out, but it's not just 40K. They do a lot of just pop culture type stuff. And if you want to look at, say you wanted to look at, the galaxy, the different type of planets and Where are the Adeptus Astartes? Those are Space Marines, right? Ball is the
Home planet
home
of.
planet of the Blood Angels, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and so you've got there's also Medusa. There's a planet called Medusa, which is the home planet of the Iron Fists, right?
Yeah.
And so there's just everything you could possibly want to look at. Here's a timeline article if you want to just go back and read about timeline stuff that happened back in the day. You can do that. It's all right there. It's very in depth and it's very detailed. So basically, what I would say is if you want to, if this is what you want to do and you want to learn about Warhammer, just go watch some of the, so Bricky has a couple of videos called Every Warhammer Faction Explained. And he
Yes.
rolls through everything. He rolls through all the different races.
It's good. It's got over 3 million views already, and it's only been out for over a year. It's very inclusive of a lot of things that the universe has to offer.
So pick something you like and just go with that. That's basically what Zalon and I did. I still haven't picked my favorite Space Marine chapter yet. Because I tend, I like the Necrons because of the whole. It's a Egyptian zombie skeleton. How can you not like that?
Who sometimes rises from the dead.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I don't have a favorite Space Marine chapter. I know that it's not the Ultramarines, mainly because Games Workshop tries to shove them down your face with everything. They're kind of like the poster boys for Warhammer 40K, which I don't care for.
I like them. I just like their lore. I like their Primarch, who is actually alive, and a lot of. And I only mention it like that because that has a lot more of the lore. We'll do definitely a live stream that talks more about the Primarchs sometime in the future because it is a major fun part of the Warhammer 40K lore. So.
Yeah, that's true. There is there's a chapter that I thought I like. I mean, I do like them, and I thought maybe I've got a bunch of Space Marine miniatures, but I haven't picked a chapter to build my army with yet. And I'm not ever gonna build like a 2,000 point Space Marine army, right? But I will have, I'd like to have enough to do like a 500 point game or something like that.
Most definitely. Well, you want to be able to use vehicles because the only downside of Kill Team is that you can't really use your vehicles.
So. Well, that's true. They do have some really cool vehicles in the game, and I want them just for the fact that it's a cool model that I'd like to have. But ever since I went and got a 3D printer, now I'm like, I could buy lots of resin for what this tank cost. So
of course.
But there are some sculpts, there are some models that I still will be buying eventually, like that Leonardo da Vinci looking airplane thing that the AdMech have.
Oh yeah, you have to.
That thing is.
Just like how I'm going to get the emulitator. I can't even say the name right. But it's for the Sisters, which is the pipe organ tank.
Oh yeah.
I'm not expecting the
I thought that was
3D...
the Castigator.
No, the Castigator is the actual tank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the emulator is a what's it called? A pipe organ vehicle, and the actual pipe organ part is like filled with missiles.
Oh, I got you. Okay, all right. So that's that's cool. But the what is that thing called? It's a I forget. It's an areopter, or something like that. I don't remember. Let me just pull up. This is it right here. Yeah. So this is it right here. This thing right here, and it is It's not a helicopter, even though it looks like a helicopter. It's a because the AdMech are
They're
they
from
are
Mars.
originated on Mars, and
Yeah.
that's why you see a lot of red. And then the Mars atmosphere is very thin, so it has these fins that it can
Can you zoom in
manipulate.
on it a little, bro?
Well, no, evidently I can't.
No.
So because it's it won't let me. It's not. There we go.
Immolator. Oh, as in a thing that immolates, sets on fire. Yeah, there
Is
you
that
go.
what
Thank
it
you.
is? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Dungeon Delver.
Immolator. There you go. So, and Space Wolves. So Trent says he likes Imperial Fists, Blood Angels, or Space Wolves look cool. I like Space Wolves as well, and I'm actually
Yeah, me
getting
too.
more into the Space Wolves lore. For those of you that don't know, Space Wolves are basically space Vikings,
With
right?
with a little bit of what's it called? Space Vikings, but also with a little bit of what's it called? Vampire. What is it?
Werewolves. Yeah, like it.
Where? Yeah. Because
Yeah, yeah.
you got a little bit of a mix there. Because yeah, go ahead, Bo. You can talk about it.
Yeah, so the latest episode of Hammer and Bolter was all about the Space Wolves. And the latest edition of White Dwarf magazine, which I have not gotten because I don't
It's
buy
on
every
backlog
edition,
for the U.S., but yeah.
they have a Wolf Spear successor chapter. And depending on how Wolf Spear successor chapter looks, that may be what I do my Space Marine army in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've tried a few. What I've decided is I've got enough Space Marine models that I can just paint one of every chapter that I might be interested in. And then whichever one turns out the best painting wise will probably be the one that I go with. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, that's kind of where I am. I still like the Iron Hands though, just because they're very techy, right?
True. And they're an
Um,
original chapter, but yeah.
yeah, but their Primarch's like dead, right? Like got his
Yeah.
head cut off dead.
Yeah. That's the thing
So
too. Knowing where your Primarch is, and because a lot of them don't, and or if he's alive or dead, So
yeah, so this guy here is
ooh,
Belisarius Call. This guy is the
why is that model different?
I'm not really sure. I think maybe that might be that may not be him.
No, okay, yeah, it looks a little different.
That's not. Yeah, these things are ridiculous. Evidently, they suck in the game. Um, and this troop transport here is really cool. I'd love to have one of these, but I think I've got an STL file for that. You can build it two different ways. You can either build it like this as a troop transport or as a tank, and it's a hover tank too, by the way. And
There it is.
there's the thing, man. Look at that. Is that not sweet?
Yeah, I'd want those wings to be perfect, Bo.
Well, it's going to be one of those deals where it's like I'm going to say, you know what I would like for my birthday? Give me this right
Right.
here, kind of thing.
That's why I'm saying like maybe printing that. That's why you definitely want to get the model. I don't know. I just would want those wings to look just as perfect as they do right there. They look
Yeah,
so nice.
yeah. So, all right. So, what else? What are you drinking, Salon? We didn't talk
Oh,
about. We need. We
oh
we need to
no.
start
Yeah,
doing this at the
this.
beginning
Yeah, I
of the
know. No,
podcast.
I got a Founder's Scarlet Dawn IPA. It's a new session. It's a session red. We're calling it.
Oh, okay. Salon once again has an IPA. Why am I not surprised?
Yeah.
I've got a from Blackstone Brewing Company in Nashville. I have a Nut Brown Ale. It's an English style brown ale. It is quite tasty.
Nice.
So, and I at the hotel here they had there's a local cidery, right? They make their ciders, and they had one called the Queen of the Swords cider, and So I had to take a picture of that and send it to Delver because it looked like something you would drink while you sat and played a game of AD&D. So,
Oh wow.
Yep. Okay, did we miss anything? Do you guys have any questions that we can attempt to answer and probably get wrong? Yeah. Anything you want to know about Necrons or the Silent King? Do we want to talk about why Rabute Gilliman is sometimes called Robot Girly Man?
Because people are haters.
Yeah, sometimes.
People are haters. People are haters to the people that have Primarchs that are alive.
Yes, that's why. No, it's because he's got that perfect hair and his armor looks like it was, I don't know, it's like a encrusted egg. You know, like one of those filigree eggs. That's what his armor looks like.
It's pretty awesome. And we're getting one in the Imperium magazine, which is going to be awesome.
Yes, we will get one in the magazine. So I will paint. I told you I'm painting mine pink and purple.
No.
Yes.
Are you gonna paint him what's it called? Traitor Legion colors?
I might do that. Yeah.
Because pink and purple you realize is more like, Traitor Legion, like what am I thinking of? Like World Eaters or a lot of the Traitor Legion names. When I'm listening to some of the Horus Heresy books right now, it's like you can tell that they were going to go bad eventually. It's like, Salamander's obviously loyal. It's like, but what's it called? A chapter named the World Eaters. Oh yeah, they're going to be they're going to be on the side of right. Yeah. I don't think so.
So here's your Rabute Gilliman model, Zolan. This is the an older version.
Yeah, but it looks good.
Yeah, but you can see how his armor is all. I mean, there's not a space on the armor that doesn't have some sort of Aquila
gold heraldry. Well, of course, he's
I mean,
the badassery.
Badassery. Okay. All right. Well, that's about it. Any parting thoughts? Have you painted anything yet, Zolan?
Not as much as I'd like to. So no, not. I don't have I don't have anything real crazy to show off right now, unfortunately.
All right. So one of these episodes, we'll pull out our miniatures that we've painted. I'm just waiting on Zolan to get caught up, and then.
Oh yeah.
We'll do that. So, all right, cool. Well, all right. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we'll do that watch along here. Yes. I don't know if the watch along will happen before the next episode. Yeah, I don't know if it'll happen before the next episode. It just depends on what our schedules look like and our guest schedule and things that are going on in other things that we're doing. So have to go along with that and see how it's going. All right. Well, good episode. I'm going to sign off. We don't have an outro because we have zero budget.
Yeah, that's right.
Catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.